NHL insider Elliotte Friedman revealed a huge Vancouver Canucks trade update, revealing key details on exactly where the Vancouver Canucks are in their current search for second line center, and all signs point towards a Vancouver Canucks trade coming in the future. We're going to break down all this, the reports from Elliotte Friedman and quotes from Patrik Allvin and Jim Rutherford, and so much more later on this episode. Before we get into that, if you're part of the 8,300 watching this and you're enjoying the content, I just want to give a huge shout out to everyone watching this video, and you haven't hit the subscribe button yet. We're trying to reach a goal of 8,500 subscribers before the season starts, so if 199 of you guys want to go down and hit that free subscribe button, it would mean the world, and we'll keep you up to date with daily content all around the Vancouver Canucks. Well, with that, let's just get straight into this today, where we do know it's not a secret. The Vancouver Canucks are in search for a second line center. Now, there is two quotes from Elliotte Friedman, which we will touch on shortly, but everyone knows, even Jim Rutherford a few months ago went in to say it'd be expensive, but it'll also be expensive to not get one. We're going to be open to do whatever it takes. This is the Canucks team that wants to add a second line center. They've been searching for a center since JT Miller was traded off to the New York Rangers, bringing Filip Hronek, a first round pick, flipped for Drew O'Connor and Marcus Pettersson, while also getting Victor Mancini. Now down the middle, Elias Pettersson, Filip Hronek, Aatu Räty, and Teddy Blueger is not the worst center depth in the NHL. Is it the best? Not even close. But the big thing with this Canucks team is, if healthy and if all things go right with these centers, it can still be a very competitive lineup until they acquire more talent. Now with this, a lot hinges on Pettersson and Hronek having huge bounce back years and staying healthy, but it goes into the first of two quotes from Elliotte Friedman. What do the Canucks do down the middle? Internally, they think they have a hole there. There aren't a lot of trade partners. Now with this, if you've been following any other team in the NHL, you can see that everyone is currently buying. You look at the Montreal Canadiens out east, trying to find a second line center. There's a handful of teams looking to fill this position, with only one reported team looking to sell, which we will touch on later in this episode, and how that fares against the Canucks. But the big thing is, the Canucks know they internally have an issue down the middle. They've had this issue since JT Miller was shipped off to the New York Rangers, but looking at this team, there are some bright spots that could step up, but the Canucks cannot really hinge on the could. Looking down the middle, you have Filip Hronek, Elias Pettersson, Teddy Blueger, and Aatu Räty. You have Max Sasson, Ty Mueller, and Braden Coots. That might be a dark horse with Neil Zaman if he can continue to develop his face-off. That are guys that can fill in this bottom six. Listen, I think they're all incredible players. They have great skill sets, but haven't been proven to be a middle six or top six player. And listen, there's only one way to prove it, and that is getting them minutes. But with the Canucks, they know they need to continue developing the center position, adding at it, and all signs are pointing towards a trade coming at some point this year. And listen, there is one more Friedman topic and quote we'll get into. But going into Patrik Allvin, that we seen yesterday, go check that video out as well. We continue to talk to teams, so there hasn't been a whole lot available here leading up to this point, obviously. It comes down to the cost of it and, where fit is with Adam Foote and his style of how we want to play. That's definitely something we continue to look at. So with Patrik Allvin making it very clear that they're continuing to call teams, they're still actively looking to fill this position, but the acquiring this player is going to cost maybe more than they want to pay at the very moment, with bidding wars happening or teams trying to gouge any team looking to fill this position with multiple calling, and on top of that, they want him to fit Adam Foote's style. So with all things, with Elliotte Friedman saying the Canucks know they have an issue, down the middle with Patrik Allvin making it clear, and Jim Rutherford even making it very clear that it's going to be expensive to not acquire one, but also very expensive to go out and get one. Everything is pointing towards this Canucks team wanting to add, and we do get the quote from Elliotte Friedman on the Canucks search for a second line center. Unless Rutherford and Allvin pull a rabbit out of their hat, they're going to have to go internal for a while. Those guys are hard to find. Now the big thing is, and I've noticed a lot of the comments, people want the Canucks to wait until you get into deadline. With the Canucks getting to deadline, more teams are going to be selling. It's going to be less of a bidding war, and you're able to add better talent for a cheaper cost than when everyone is currently trying to buy. But seeing this quote from Friedman, it is a little scary that they're going to have to go internally. And listen, I do like the core of this team. Down the middle, yes, Filip Hronek needs to have a bounce back here. He needs to stay healthy. but he adds a lot of offense to this team as a second line center, as an incredible play driver on this group. He brings in Conor Garland, Jake DeBrusk. This is a great core if you can stay healthy with this. PD, who just put on 13 pounds in this offseason, we'll do a full video on that tomorrow as well, is looking for a bounce back down the middle. Ratu, Teddy Bluger, two great options in the middle six, especially on the draw. This is the Canucks team that have to figure something out. This could come at the start of training camp, maybe in the season, or a deadline, but all signs are, and especially with this quote, pointing towards the Canucks not getting a new center going into the season, and it's going to be maybe until Christmas that we see them add someone. Now, he does go out to say the Penguins are one of the only teams in the NHL currently selling, and it does have some implications on the Canucks. Yes, going to get Sidney Crosby would completely change this Canucks team. They go from a playoff team to a contender in a heartbeat, but I cannot see this team, the Pittsburgh Penguins, moving on from their franchise player unless he demands a way out. And listen, he knows Patrik Allvin, he knows Jim Rutherford, maybe he wants to return with this management group. But the biggest thing is, down the middle of the Pittsburgh Penguins, this is not really a great fit. Evgeny Malkin would be a cool option, but on the last year of his deal, 38 years old, 39 years old, and all signs are pointing towards him going to the KHL after the season. We see Tommy Novak, we see Kevin Hayes, Philip Tomasino. These guys are options the Canucks can go after, but I don't think they push the needle. The biggest thing is Sidney Crosby is going to cost an arm and a leg. Yes, getting him on this team changes absolutely everything for the Canucks, but it does seem like that trade is unrealistic. Evgeny Malkin would be a very good option if you could get him for free and if you had him for term, and he wasn't 39. So once again, the only thing that really makes sense on this team is maybe going to go out and get someone like Tommy Novak or Kevin Hayes. Tommy Novak, who played with the Nashville Predators, did have a 45-point season just 2 years ago with the Preds in 23-24, putting up 18 goals, 45 points. But the biggest thing is, down the middle, is he much more of a play mover or someone that's going to change the outlook of this team than someone like Filip Hronek that's already within this lineup? Are you fine going out to move on from prospects, draft capital, anything in between, to bring in a guy that's going to be even another question mark within this Canucks lineup? Everything comes down to this Canucks team. We know something is coming. They traded Dakota Joshua to the Toronto Maple Leafs to clear up cap space. Basically $3 million in current cap space going into the year. But with this Canucks team, they're going to actively search. Someone could come in and absolute shock the fan base in training camp. We've seen the quotes coming from Thomas Drance. Maybe Coots is a dark horse if everything goes right to get a stint in the NHL. But Canucks fans, what is your thoughts on this? What is your thoughts on Elliotte Friedman basically going out to say, hey, unless they pull a rabbit out of the hat, they're going to go internal for a bit? What is your thoughts on Patrik Allvin saying they're continuously talking to teams and they need to figure out if it's the right fit and the right cost for this Canucks team? Let me know down in the comments. While you're down there, leave a like and subscribe. But with that, let's just get straight into comment of the day today, where we did get a comment from Blade. I say they wait for the trade deadline to make some moves, and I completely agree. Listen, if every team's buying, the Canucks can't afford to get into a bidding war. We know the prospect pool is good, but not top NHL talent. So moving on from some key prospects, Jonathan Leckmacki, Tom Willander, anyone like this, you're going to slowly mortgage the future for a replacement in the middle six. And unless this player is going to completely change the franchise, I think the Canucks hold steady, make a push. If you get the deadline and you're in a good position, go out to make a trade. At that point, you might find the guy for the future or someone that can help with a run. What is your guys' thoughts? Would you go trade for a guy right now, cost whatever it is, go out and get someone like Mason McTavish? Or would you rather the Canucks to wait in the weeds, see if anyone comes available that they can snatch up at a cheaper price? Let us know down in the comments. While you're down there, leave a like, subscribe, share this with your friends. We'll be back in another episode, so keep your eye out for that. But I've been your host, Mark Bye, and listen, if you want me to cover anything at all, leave that down in the comments as well. I love reading through them, seeing the support and even the hate sometimes, which is kind of funny, is awesome to read through. But I've been your host, Mark Bye, and take care, Canucks fans.